Jasmine was a delight. She was very chatty from a young age, always singing, happy, dancing. She was a joy to the whole family. She wasn't very well, and we'd gone backwards and forwards to the GP. We'd gone to A&E, and one doctor thought she had a virus or an infection. She just had an increasingly high temperature, and she was going through a lot of Calpol to try and reduce the temperature, but she was literally, the temperature would be hitting 39 and 40 degrees.
So they went to the GP, and the GP just said, basically, take her up to the hospital, gave us a letter of referral.
To check her
over. So we went up to our local Worsley hospital. And even at this point, Kawasaki's wasn't something that anybody was thinking about.
But I knew something was more seriously wrong.
I don't think any of them had really heard of Kawasaki's, and it was only when they decided that they'd send you and Jasmine went up to Birmingham Children's just for a more detailed heart scan, because they got more equipment, and they did the heart scan there, and basically they kept her in.
Jasmine had giant aneurysms on her aorta, aneurysms down both arms and the tops of her legs.
Kawasaki's was the root cause of all the issues we'd be having for the 3+ weeks that led up to that day.
Yeah, the consultant said, it's definitely Kawasaki disease. The usual treatments was just not working, and she was getting sicker and sicker. It got to the point where I was actually told to prepare for the worst, because she's deteriorating quite quickly. In the end, she was at the Children's Hospital for about 3 months. She had her 4th birthday at the Children's Hospital. In the early days, every time someone came in a white coat, she would be screaming. So she was on high dose steroids for 3 years in the end, before they weaned her off the steroids. And then the activity of the disease had stopped, but it's what the disease leaves you with. And then you have to deal with the aftermath of that. Early 2010, we'd gone through a regular check-up with Jasmine, and for the very first time, after 8.5 years, they came back with the ECG results, and they were saying, it's not too bad, but there's something going on there. We need to sort of have a look at it. And she was booked in for some stent work, to put a stent, to do an angiogram and then put a stent in where they could, just to alleviate whatever the issue was. The surgeon came back and had a chat with us and says we weren't able to do what we wanted to do because the damage is more extensive than we thought. She was sent for more detailed MRI scans, different x-rays, to have a look into the possibility of a bypass, because this was going to be the treatment for where she was at. Okay, the next stage. So that took about 3 months of different tests, etc. In the meantime, Jasmine was slowing down. There was this appointment where we were going to be given the results and, set a plan of when this bypass might take place. So we went to our meeting, and then unfortunately to be told that they've consulted widely and the results of all the extensive tests that she's been having over the last few months, bypass is not going to help her. There's nothing they can do surgically to help Jasmine. So there we were. She's in heart failure. She's slowing down before her eyes. They said, well, it's progressive, it's going to get worse. They said we could manage her. It could be that she'd just managed through medication. She'd had the hospital appointment, increased the days, and the following weekend, and she'd improved. The cold had kind of gone. So she went for this haircut, and she had a fringe, and she just felt the bee's knees. So the Monday morning, she was due to go back to school. She just had this haircut, and she was there in the mirror, and Jasmine is never in the mirror checking out her her fringe, and this lovely cut that she'd just had. And I looked back, and it was like, Jasmine, are you going to be one of those girls now, always in the mirror? We were just laughing. And to see just a normal 12-year-old, with a new hairstyle, looking forward to going to school and seeing what her friends are going to see, was fantastic. Within an hour and a half, I'd just interviewed a client, and a phone call had come for me. So I'd gone back to my office, and the lady that I was sharing an office with said, your bag has been buzzing, your phone's been buzzing your bag. Jasmine has collapsed. In my head, she's fainted, she needs a mum. And a colleague of mine says, no, I'll drive you. So we drove up to the school, and I remember thinking, gosh, does Jasmine do these stairs to go to music? By the time I got to the top of the stairs, my world completely changed yet again, because Jasmine's on the floor, her clothes had been cut off her, the paramedic was there, and I literally crawled the last two, like, Jasmine, and the paramedic said to me, because he was paddling her, and no response, and I went, Jasmine, I've got on the floor with her, and he said, that's it, Mum, keep talking, because they were getting a thread. It was still terrible, but she wasn't dead yet. They weren't sure how they were going to get her to a hospital. They didn't think she'd make a journey. At the hospital, they iced her down, tried to keep her cold, etc. She needed an intensive bed quickly, because she'd been a patient at Birmingham for a long time by that time. So they found a bed for her. She had a further cardiac arrest.
She had three further cardiac arrests.
In the end, what happened was the defibrillator machine that they've got there, they kept it attached to her, rather than have to go and get it. And I was in the family room, because there was family there, grandparents, and you were by the bedside. And what had happened was he just walked into the family room, not just red-faced, not talking, and I'm like, what's happened? And you just crying. So I raced into he was just next door, into intensive care, to find the doctor who had been looking after her on the bed, literally trying to, resuscitate her. And this was a terrible situation. So obviously they were talking to Great Ormond Street by this time. They're saying, well, they need to assess her, they need to see her. But how is Jasmine going to get there? She was never going to make a journey from Birmingham. They came, your child is critically ill, and although she's in a coma, I knew she knew I was there. Literally, I'm there, sort of talking to her normally, and I banned any negative talk around the bedside, all positive. People were crying next door, but all positive around the bedside, The Friday morning we were told she's on the list.
Put her onto
she's on the transplant list. She's not going to, they don't think she's going to make the night. And there was a difference of opinion within the two teams, Great Ormond Street and within the teams, as to whether they try and put her on life support, an ECMO machine. She got through the surgery, and she ended up on ECMO. So, and you know what that involves, just the personnel to manage somebody on an ECMO machine is
two
something
people
else.
on the bedside continuously.
I thought intensive care was another level, but this was yet another level. She physically changed. Yeah. So this was that had happened overnight on the Friday. On the Saturday, she physically changed. She blew up. By the Sunday, they came to us and they said, we need you to leave the bedside. We're going to do a bedside surgery, because Dr. Bourne, they wanted to open her up because she's having issues. There's something going on. The flow of blood is not getting through as it should be. An hour had gone by, we didn't get a phone call. Hour and a half had gone by. A couple of hours later, we had the phone call from one of the sisters there, and she said, "You're probably worried, but we're still, at it." This was all taking place actually at the bed where she was. Mr. Bourne had found her, he'd opened her up, and her chest cavity was just full of clots. So he was painstakingly manually taking the clots away. And this is why it was taking so long. So it was a courtesy call. And we were just, it was just terrible. It was 3 hours operation that was. We went back to the bedside, and again she'd changed. And by this time, the staff who were looking after her were in tears. They were crying. Everybody was, I felt though, everybody, I looked at Jasmine, and it was like she wasn't there.
You were in the chapel, and the intensive care just went quiet, and it was like you could hear the beeps of machines, but it was quiet. It was probably about 10 o'clock at night, something like that. And literally, the doctor, one of the doctors came out, and he said to me, "Can we have a little word?" And he said, basically, "We found a heart." So this is on the Sunday night. Late Sunday night. And then she had, basically, the heart transplant was on the early hours of the Monday morning.
5 hours.
5 hours of surgery.
It's disheartening to know that so many increasing numbers of children are being affected by Kawasaki's disease, and this is going undiagnosed or with late diagnosis, because the aftermath of having Kawasaki's disease for an extended length of time is life-changing and life-threatening. I can't stress how important it is for clinicians to be aware of Kawasaki's disease.
So now I'm nearly 20, believe it or not, and I'm a second year studying to be a primary teacher, and I've just finished placement actually, so it's been really positive. It's really just want to make a difference in other people's lives and just help other people get to where they want to be.
She wants to be. Her dream job would be a special needs teacher or to work in a hospital school.
Yeah.
And that is directly from her experiences of being in hospital so many times, and the sort of the music therapists and the teachers, etc., that have worked with her at the bedside.
To just, inspire others maybe that are in hospital. Like I've got that experience. I have been in hospital, so I know, I have an understanding of how they might feel a bit. So to just inspire them to think there is hope for life, and to be happy and to live and do the things that you want to do. There's no restriction. You don't have to stay at home all the time. You can go out and do what you want to do. Obviously, you've got to be safe, and there's always things that you need to do to keep yourself safe and happy and healthy. But it is just to be you and do what you love doing. I started going back to school on like a part-time basis. So I think the very first time, I think it was literally 15 minutes for form time. At the start of the day we have like a registration, and actually. So I was on 2 crutches, and actually all they stood up and clapped me. I could quite actually. So it was like very gradual. So it was like that 15 minutes and that one lesson, and then like 2 lessons, then maybe like a whole morning, and then it was like a whole afternoon, and then I started back full time like the next year. I've been extremely lucky to be here, and I am here, and I've got through everything that's happened. And I guess I'm a kind of better person for it actually. Just appreciate what you have, and there's always something that worse that could be happening. So just to be grateful for. I'm still here. I'm doing good. I'm happy.
I think the key thing is that we're extremely lucky, and while this was maybe in some people's eyes a tragic tale, and it could have been very tragic at varying steps in that journey, We've been lucky. I wouldn't want other parents to have to have had the journey that I've had. While it's been the making of us as a family, knowing that there's a way to prevent this is critical. Early diagnosis of Kawasaki's disease is vital.